watch what's approaching. The supreme moment, reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? So I've been requested to do kind of a beginner's guide tutorial for some of the new guys that have joined either JP or Global. So this will be the video for that. I'll be as thorough as I can. I'm not going to cover 100% of what's in the game, but as much as I can within a compressed format. Now I'll go ahead and start off by saying I am going to be exclusively on the JP side, and Ignat is pretty much on the global side as a main. So he did a tutorial on, based on the global version. So if you're a new global player, it might be worth checking that out, because it's going to be in line with pretty much what the schedule is on global right now. So I'll put it in the pinned comment, but definitely check that out if you're interested. Solely on the global side. Again, I'm only going to be covering JP on my channel because that's the only account or version I'll be playing. So let's go ahead and get started with everything. Now, I'm going to start from the stuff in the bottom left, just start from the very left to the right, and we'll go into additional locations outside of that. But the very first section is the fighters section, and I'll click on the 96 Leona because that's my favorite unit in the game. It's been one of my favorite characters of the entire series of King of Fighters, so I definitely have to shout out, my love for her. But the very top is basically your skill set detailed section. So as you can see, you have your general, HP, attack, and defense skill sets right here, and then you have your level and your overall pretty much details. This is like the status details, this is your core effect, and this is your buffs based on the alignment of available characters as well as the striker setup. So that's pretty much the deal with that. If you scroll here, this is all your skill settings, so you'll be able to see each individual setting, and you can actually preview the skill sets, like all the attacks and active skills and finishers and all that. You can actually preview those as well. This is just a profile, not really relevant, but it gives you kind of more of a character info basically. Now the second one right here is the evolution setting, or actually this is the training portion. So you have items here, and depending on what item you use, you'll be able to increase the level. And the third section right here is your evolution. So let's say you have less than a 6-star rating unit. This is where you would go into increasing the star rating for the unit. So of course the max in this game is 6 stars, so for her it's unavailable, but in other units you're going to have required items or ingredients that you need to use in order to evolve your unit into a better star rating. Now the fourth slot is basically shattering the limit is what I'm going to call it, because it's a link skill in Dokkan Battle, so I'm just going to relate it and just call it that. So in order to shatter the limit, or actually limit break is probably the better term, but you do require souls for that to happen. And the stuff on the right is basically telling you where you can actually get those. So this one is exchange, this one is the fighter quest, and you can actually get a few of those from the story quests as well. The story quest, you can only do it 3 times per day, but it's if you're focusing on one unit, it's a good idea to go ahead and do that at least 3 times a day, and eventually you can accumulate enough to get enough to limit break certain units. So of course I don't have any currently available for this unit, so what's going to happen is you're going to have to use the KOF type souls. So this one is a gold soul, so you actually are required to use the souls for that if you don't have any other character souls. So again, it tells you how many it's going to require, and the max level to get all phases is 90. So as you can see, 90 is the absolute max to get to 100%. The fifth section is the core section. This is one of the most important areas to focus on, and I recommend you focus on one at a time. That way you can maximize the potential to an acceptable level, and then transition to something else. But I currently have mine pretty maxed out, close to it. I have like 2 columns left over, but each of these are going to increase your skill sets in certain areas. Like this one, for example, it's going to increase the critical damage by 3%, stuff like that. So each of them do require core items, and we'll cover that here in a little bit. But yeah, this is one of those important areas you definitely want to focus on. This is equipment. So the top section is the special attack. Basically, certain cards have certain special attack cards or battle cards that you need. So unless you have that battle card, you're not going to have the ability to do the ultimate special attack, we'll go ahead and call that. These are set and these are options. So like the sets and options, they pretty much give you like a, you know, buff basically. So let's just, if you hold it and click on it, it'll tell you. Like this one, for example, gives you an HP increase of 2.3% and stuff like that. So that's pretty much all there is to know for that. And honestly, if you're lazy like myself, if you click on this bottom left button, it's the recommended section. So this is basically the ultimate equipment setting. So if you click that, it'll automatically set it to what they recommend. And these are based on defense, HP, attack, and skill. So you have different options to go about how you want to automatically set up your character equipment. So, you know, it might be useful as a shortcut method. I tend to use that because, you know, it's quicker that way, honestly. It's not the best option, but it's definitely the most quickest way to do it. The last slot is going to be your friend levels, I guess, for each unit, and where you have the little smiley faces is where it's going to have the most impact, basically, per item used. So, like, for her, it's like the salad-looking thing right here. So, you know, you can adjust the size, and again, it'll tell you where to go to get more of these items. And it's actually worthwhile to talk about that because, like, if you click on this, obviously it's not available because the level setting isn't there, but you can click on that and it'll take you directly to where you need to go in order to get that specific item, or the core item in this case. And that's the same case for all of these. So, you know, it's a good shortcut to have, and it's definitely worthwhile. Okay, so we're done with the fighter section. Now let's move on to the battle card section. Again, this is pretty much the same stuff. The only difference is, let me click on one that isn't fully maxed out. So like Kim's battle card here is your general overview of stuff right here. This is basically just telling you what impact it's going to have at level 1. It's basically 1700% toward damage to the enemy, basically. And then this section right here on the bottom, this is your train or enhance. So you can use the stuff on the very right. These are basically your training items or training cards to level up your battle card. So that's pretty much where to go for that. And once you get to the max level, in this case 25, you can move on to evolve the card to a higher star rating, and it'll tell you what items you need for that. And that's pretty much the extent of it. Now do keep in mind, once you do evolve the battle card into a new star rating, it's going to go back down to level 1, so you'll have to retrain the levels to whatever levels you wanted to get to. So I mean, that's pretty much it for the battle cards. You know, each one has a section, you know, and stuff like that, but the general narrative is pretty much the same. Now the middle one right here is the exchange shop. So under here you have different ways of going about exchanging items. This is based on the team chain quest or whatever it's called. This is the arena coins, this is the league match coins, and this is the soul dust exchange. So this one is actually pretty cool. You can actually exchange it for, you know, soul items that you need for certain characters, and it's a good way to do that. Okay, so moving on. I don't know what happened on the top right, but I guess we'll be alright. So this is your summon session, and alright, I wanted to get rid of that. It's starting to get annoying. Okay, so this is your summon section or banner section, and the left column is your fighter section. This is obviously the brand new main banner, and then you have different types based on what it is. This is basically, you know, 5-star guaranteed pickup, you know, stuff like that. These are fighters directly related to the epic quest, and certain characters get bonuses on that epic quest event. So this is basically the place for that. This is once a day you get a free summon off of this fighter summon, and you know, you have potential to get, you know, some 5-star units. I did periodically get some 5 stars, even though most of the time I got, you know, 4-star ratings or less. But, you know, you get to do this at least once a day for free, so make sure to do at least that one single, you know, free per day. These are basically your friend summons. You do get items and various stuff like that based on that, so, you know, it's worthwhile to do it if you have enough friend points for it. Now this is the battle card section. Pretty much the same format, just different availabilities of different types, and then of course you have your free battle card summon banner here, and then your friend points banner here. Now on the very bottom here, right here, is the gotcha ticket. So I've got a bunch of tickets here, and these are places where you go in order to, use the tickets basically. And this is, the 5-star select ticket for the, I think it was the option card select. Yeah, so 5-star set card. These are item tickets that you can exchange or whatever. This is the option card selection, so you can get a free 5-star option card out of that. This is a 5-star guaranteed ticket. I'm not going to use it right now, but this is where you go for any tickets. Okay, so moving on. This is the shop right here. This is a good place to go. I'm not going to be covering any of the Ruby purchasing areas. I'm going to keep this completely free to play, so I'm only going to be covering this stuff here, which is the secret shop. Now, it's worth checking this a couple times a day because you do have like the skip tickets. You can exchange them for I think it's 15 for 10, like 15 rubies for 10, and then you get 200 stamina recovery for spending whatever amount of rubies it was. I think it's probably 50, but for me it's worth it because you run out of AP pretty fast, and yeah, it's worthwhile to grind as much as you can, especially with the daily missions and all that. So it's definitely good to keep in mind to check that periodically. Alright, so we'll just keep going left. So this is your battle section. Championship, this is new. I haven't been able to try this yet, but it's a new season of the championship stuff. Again, I haven't done this, but basically it's a real-time PvP. This is something they just introduced recently. This is the time attack challenge. This is the arena. This is the league match, and this is basically just your versus battle setting. So if you go to your league match setting, it'll tell you what you're at in terms of what tier, and it'll tell you how many points you have to get to meet a certain tier increase or whatever. These are basically the units I'm using. These are basically the enemies. So of course you have your team cost or team power, and then how many points you get. So it also gives you the ranking and stuff like that. So the stuff on the bottom left is the exchange shop for, you can exchange your points to get something. So, these are like 5-star special card selection tickets and stuff like that. So I recommend saving for those. I'm actually saving mine in order to get some of these tickets. Alright, so let's back out, and I'm not going to cover the other ones. It's pretty similar, straightforward for the most part, and I'm going as quickly as I can here. Alright, so this is where you're going to be spending the bulk of your time here, as the story portion. So this right here is just a regular quest mode, and it does have a bunch of different scenarios, and you have 3 different difficulty settings. So, depending on where you go, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do here. A lot of grinding, and the good thing to note is each of these are going to have certain missions. So I'll click one. This is going to give you, it's pretty much telling you which one has type advantage, but these are all the missions that you have per quest mode, and even the story events and all that are similar, but some of these are based on types, some of these are based on attributes, stuff like that. So it's worthwhile to keep in touch with that. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message on Twitter on a certain quest or whatever. As long as I see the screenshot and I can read it, I can tell you what it is. So won't go into detail for that. I'm not going to go through any of the battles, honestly, because it's not really important as much, but let's just keep going on. So this right here is a special quest. This is where I spend the bulk of my time, honestly, because it gives you the EXP quest, the core quest, the fighter evolution quest. This is the Crucible Tower. This is the battle evolution quest. All these types of stuff is very important because core items, EXP items, gold, and evolution items are very important in this game. So it's always good to have a good stock of that. So definitely keep that in mind. And each of these have like difficulty levels. I always go through at least the expert or lunatic difficulty setting because you're able to do that at least 3 times. So I do it all 3 times to make sure I do it for each of these types of quests. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to say with that. I don't want to go into too much detail because I honestly don't want the video being too long. So we'll leave it at that. This is the event quest. So these are limited time events, and they have, special stuff going on right now. So for example, if you started during Halloween, you might have recognized there was a bunch of Halloween themed type of events for a limited time, stuff like that. So this is where the limited events are going to be available. These are special matches. I'm not going to cover the team chain quest. I'll cover the fighter quest because this one's actually pretty important. So for this one, this is where you go to get more soul items. So pick whatever character you want on whatever setting. You got normal, hard, and expert. And pick the unit you want, and then you'll be able to get character souls for the units you selected and clear the event. So this is a good way to also get soul items. The only inconvenience that I've come across is it's a little bit limited in terms of how many of those items you get in order to be able to actually go into the battle. So we'll leave it at that. Not too complicated. Epic quest, I think I'll save that for another time. I think you have to honestly build up some of your teams in order to actually compete in it. So I'll for the sake of not making the video too long, I'll save that for another time. Okay, so the other sections I'm going to cover is the middle row here. This is actually quite important, so definitely keep a note of this. JP and Global have different schedules, so check on the Global side if it's any different, but this is a great way to get free 5-star units in the game, and honestly, I should dedicate a video solely for this, but based on fulfilling certain missions, you're able to get a 5-star unit right here. Like you can, for JP right now, it's the 5-star 98 Vice unit, and honestly, it's a good way to get free 5 stars and start building your deck if you're lacking units, because by finishing missions like clearing, gold quest twice, story quest 95, on hard difficulty, chapter 3-1, you get all these mission rewards, and once you fulfill all of them per day, you start off by getting a copy. So it's a great way to build up your deck, and based on each day, we're on the 4th day right now, so I've actually got to go through and grind this out, but yeah, it's a good way to build your deck, and if you click on it, it'll take you directly where you need to go. That one, for example, was basically leveling up the 98 Vice to level 70. You have different missions based on what it is, so definitely very, very important to keep this one in mind. Alright, this one right here is special missions related to what's going on in JP right now. This is based on like the soul enhancement missions, I guess, campaign or whatever, so I could dedicate a video solely on these whenever they come out. For now, I'm just explaining to you that you can get some pretty good soul items and stuff like that based on fulfilling missions. It's actually going to help out quite a bit, so definitely make sure to do that, and honestly, it's going to take you directly where you need to go in order to fulfill some of the stuff. Now, some of these are specific, like this one, for example, is build a team just with attack-oriented units and clear story quest twice. So this is all in Japanese, so I understand it can be a little bit difficult to understand, but whenever these get released, like a new one comes out, I'll probably try and cover it on a video. That way you guys get all the information at once. Alright, so yeah, outside of that, this is pretty much the entire narrative of what I wanted to cover. So again, I didn't cover 100% of what's actually available in the game. I wanted to keep it somewhat limited. So we're already going into about 18 minutes, and that's pretty much what I was targeting the whole time anyway. So hopefully you guys found this helpful, and if you stuck around to the very end, hopefully found out about some new information, a little bit more familiarity with the game.